Good afternoon, everybody. This is Alex Bailey here today with Rebecca Burnett for an afternoon of cooking. Hopefully, you'll have a chance to look at this video today and get some good ideas for dinner tonight or later on this week, or watch whenever you'd like. Um, During the course of the show today, we are live both on Facebook and on YouTube to our YouTube channel. And if you're viewing on either one of those channels, you can ask questions via the comments. And if we do that, I'll actually be able to bring those up when it's a good time for Rebecca to answer those questions. And we'll get to all the questions you can. We'll also have links in the show notes to the recipe today, as well as Rebecca's Paper Chef page to order any of the products we mentioned in the show today. And if you have any questions, of course, leave those to the comments and we'll keep it interactive. And I will be in the background and let Rebecca do all the talking and cooking. So, Rebecca, take it away.
Well, welcome to our first broadcast with Southern Maple, and my name is Rebecca. What we're going to be demonstrating today is pepper party sandwiches, and what I like to do is just share quick tips, recipes that make cooking faster and fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started with grilling our chicken. So I have some raw chicken here, and we're going to trim some more chicken because I want a little bit more than what I had prepared before, and I wanted to walk through step by step with you what I do. So let me grab another piece of chicken, and I have a cutting surface on top so that I can move that away and always keep my work area clean. But I like to trim the fat and the gristle and all the yuckiness with shears versus a knife, because if I'm using a knife, it just slides back and forth and it's just really hard to cut. So I can trim off all that yuckiness, that nastiness, and then put it into the trash can. So we're just going to trim this chicken. If you buy your chicken in bulk or it's more than what you need, I recommend trimming and flattening it all at the same time and then freezing it that way so that when you need to go to use it, it is all ready to go. So I have a spot over in my sink where I'm dropping these pieces that I have trimmed off just so I can keep a clean work area. So there, our chicken is almost trimmed, and I did drop one piece in there, so I'm going to grab that out. And these shears clean up beautifully because they come apart for easy cleanup. Love it for those. So our chicken is trimmed. Let me grab that little piece of fat that did fall in there. If you like to leave the fat on, help yourself. I don't. All right, so we'll take off the gloves since we've touched the raw chicken. And just to make sure we keep everything in a safe work environment, I will flatten my chicken in the Ziploc bag and on a work surface. So when you buy your chicken breasts, you could use chicken tenders or chicken cutlets. Those are much thinner. But if you buy the chicken breasts, because those are more economical, you know, they're really thick on one end and then they taper down to be thin and you cannot cook them evenly. So you want to flatten them. And today I am using a meat tenderizer. That one's kind of curled up. And it has two sides. There is the flat side for flattening your chicken, and then you can unscrew the head and flip it around. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but it's got spikes, and that's for tenderizing your beef or your pork. So I'm just going to flatten my chicken in the Ziploc bag, and it makes it look so much bigger. So it's going to cook faster, and it's going to cook evenly. So we really like that, because I don't want raw chicken on one end and then dry and overcooked. All right, so there's our chicken. If you buy your chicken, that's what you should do. Trim, flatten, and freeze it flat, because when you need to go work with it, you can just set it into a bowl of lukewarm water and be ready to work with it in about 10 minutes. We all come home from work or the gym or sports or something and think, oh, what's for dinner? I don't know. And the meat's all frozen. If it's in a Ziploc bag, already trimmed and flattened, you can work with it very quickly. All right, I'm going to season our chicken. You could rub garlic. You could just do salt and pepper. I'm going to do a dry rub, crushed peppercorn and garlic, because we use this all the time in our home. I don't need a lot. I'm just going to sprinkle on a little bit into my bag. Still not touching the raw chicken, keeping my work area clean. And because it is a dry rub, I also want to add an oil. Now, when you're grilling, you need to use an oil that can handle a high heat, a high burn point. Avocado is one of our favorites. Canola oil is another one that's a little bit more economical. So I'm just going to drizzle that in there to coat my chicken and my rub. And we'll just kind of massage it in there so I don't have to touch it. You could brush it on as well. But since I've dirtied the bag from flattening the chicken, I'm just going to leave it in there and coat my chicken. Now it's all ready to grill. So we're going to get this started on the grill, and I'm going to go over to my grill pan so that you can see what it looks like cooking on the stove. All right, there we go. You hear that nice sizzling going on, which is what we want. And we're going to spread out our chicken breasts so there's room for them to breathe. Perfect. And I'm going to put our grill press on top. All right. So while the chicken is grilling, what I did was I did preheat the grill pan. If you've ever grilled outside or you've watched someone grill, they preheat the grill so that when you throw the meat onto the grill, you hear a sizzling, which is very important because that means you're searing the outside of your meat, sealing those juices in there, and it's absolutely fantastic. So preheat your grill pan to a medium-high temperature, and then I have a cast iron press on top, which is very important because it helps seal most of the heat in, and it lets that steam escape around the edges. So you maybe noticed that there was that edge around the grill pan. That's allowing excess steam to escape. And I did preheat that because you maybe noticed that part of the chicken, when I was flattening it out, it got a little white. That's because it was already starting to cook. And the press will do that from the top. It should be white from the top. So we're going to cook our chicken. Let me check it real quickly to see if it is ready to flip. That's not quite as dark as I'd like, but I went ahead and flipped it anyway so that I don't have to tend to it over at the stove just right now. All right, so we'll set our cutting surface aside and let's prep the rest of our ingredients. So we've got our chicken grilling. We're going to grill up our vegetables. And for this recipe, it calls for grilled onions and grilled peppers. And you know, a recipe is just a suggestion. So if you don't like peppers or you don't like onions, that is totally fine. You don't have to put them in here. But I have for today, I'm going to do a red pepper. And I'm going to slice up some onion. You could put the onion in pieces if you would want, dice it. I'm just going to cut these into rings with my 5-inch Santoku knife. And then I'll cut them into maybe quarters so that they're smaller pieces. I don't need a lot of onion because I've got a lot of food that's going to go in here. So I'm going to cut those in half and in half again. We'll set those aside. Now I want to de-seed my pepper. You can see in the pepper you've got all of the seeds there, and it's a nuisance to get those membranes out. So I'm going to use a little tool just to scrape those out so that it's a clean presentation. It's rounded, so I can go in around those round edges of the bell pepper or a jalapeno pepper when you go to de-seed that. And if you're cutting peppers for a fresh vegetable tray, that's when you especially want it nice and clean. All right, so let's slice up our pepper. I'm just cutting this into strips using my 5-inch Santoku knife. It's not the smallest, it's not the biggest, it's just your average size knife. So there I have my pepper in strips. And if you would want, you can then cut those in half again so they're just easier to eat. And we'll go ahead and do the same with the other half of the pepper. All right, so our vegetables are all ready to grill. Once that chicken finishes grilling, the vegetables go on. And let's add a little bit of fresh garlic. You can't go wrong with fresh garlic. It's healthy and it's a great flavoring. So I'm going to take, this is a pretty big clove of garlic, and I still have my clove with the peeling on. I'm going to pop it into my garlic press, and I'm just going to press it. You're going to hear a little crunch. And then all of the meat and the juices are going to come out through those holes. All right. And I'll scrape off the excess meat, and that can just cook up with those vegetables. And it was a big clove, so I had some that came up the side. All right. So there are our vegetables all ready to grill. Onions, peppers, and a little bit of garlic. Let's go back to our pan and check out our chicken to see how it's coming along. Oh, that's looking better. I need to turn it up a little bit higher. All right. And I think that chicken is done. So we're going to take that off. All right. And I'm going to put our vegetables right on top. Like that. Perfect. And we're going to cover those vegetables back up. And we'll cook those till they're firm, tender. All right. While those are cooking, let's chop up our chicken. So we'll head back to the counter. And my chicken, typically I would like it a little bit darker than this, but we're chopping it up. I had been preheating my grill pan, not as quite of a high temperature as I would like because I want it ready when my demo was ready. But you can just see how juicy this chicken is. Ooh, it's hot. It's just dripping with the fresh juices. It is fantastic. So let's go ahead and chop this up. You could chop it with a knife. That takes longer. So I'm going to use what we call salad choppers. And I'm just going to chop up our chicken into bite-sized pieces. Again, you could use tenders and not cut them. It's my preference, though, to cut them a little bit because when I go to cut the sandwiches, it's just easier. All right. And this may be more chicken than what I need, but it's okay because it will get eaten in our home, put on a salad, and it will be lunch for someone tomorrow if I don't need it all. Okay, so there's our chicken. We can set that aside. And let's pop over the stove and check to see how our vegetables are looking. They smell so good. You can see that little bit of garlic that's sticking on the pan. That's not a problem. That's going to flavor our bread as well. I think those look perfect. So I'm going to bring my peppers over to my cutting surface. And I'm just going to put those out. You could mix these with the chicken, but I'm going to tell you a little something. I have someone in my home who does not like vegetables very well. So I'm going to make some with vegetables and some without. That may be you. You can see I've got little bits of garlic and onion cooked on there. Not a problem. That's going to be fabulous on our bread. So I'll put my grill pan back. And let's take our bread. So I'm using Hawaiian rolls. And these are a big package of Hawaiian rolls. You may find one that's much smaller than this. So I might not do the entire package, but say you do an entire package this big. What you want to do is cut it down. This will fit into my grill pan, but when you go to take it out, it is a loaded sandwich and it's much easier if you cut it down. So I'm going to cut it vertically in half so that I have two pieces. And then what I want to do is I want to cut it horizontally. And I'm just using a big bread knife. And that just means it's a big serrated knife. Okay, so we're going to cut that in half like so. On one side, I'm going to spread just a little bit of mayonnaise. If you don't like mayonnaise, you don't have to put any on. We're just going to spread a little bit, and I got too much there. Perfect. And on the other side, this is something that I add to it. The Hawaiian rolls are sweet, and I like to put some barbecue sauce. And I'm using Sweet Baby Ray's, but you could use whatever kind of barbecue sauce you want. And you can even hold it and let people put it on the side for dipping. So we're going to spread that on. Perfect. Now we're going to layer our sandwich. So we're going to take cheese. You've got to have cheese and lots of it, right? Dropped a little bit of mayonnaise there. We'll clean that up. So I am using Monterey Jack. Actually, it's Colby Jack. And I'm going to put some cheese down here. This is going to be kind of like the glue that holds it together because it's going to melt and be ooey gooey, just fantastic. And then I'm going to top it with some chicken. And like I told you, I'm going to do part with just chicken and part with chicken and vegetables. So we're going to spread out our chicken, and I tend to overload my sandwiches. If you ever go out for Mexican or you fill a taco or a burrito, do you ever overfill it? I do that all the time. I do that to the sandwich. Okay, let's put some peppers and onions on top like that. And we're going to do more cheese, of course. And you could do any kind of cheese. You could do cheddar cheese, for instance, if you would want to. And we're just going to coat that top with some cheese. And we're going to cover that sandwich up. And let me show it to you. I'm going to pop it back onto the grill pan. And the reason for that is it just warms up this bread. And this, make sure the stove is turned off because I don't need to cook anything. I'm just warming up the bread. The heat from the press and from the pan will warm up the bread. But that is a loaded sandwich. So I'm going to go over to the grill pan and just put it on top. There we go. We'll put our press down and push it down. You can see you're going to get some lines on the top from the press, and it really pushes it down. It makes it easier to eat. I have my stove turned off. Just the warmth from the pan will be all I need to grill my sandwich. All right. So they're called pepper party sandwich. This is a really fun recipe for the holidays when you are getting together with friends. I know we're not doing a lot of that this year, but if you are getting together with some family or just for your family who live in your house, it's a fun recipe, great as leftovers, and it's great to vary it up, very versatile. Make sure to subscribe. You can subscribe down below. I would love for you to share with your friends as well. And like below, as Alex mentioned, we've got some links and you can link to the recipe. It's an easy recipe, but you may forget the ingredients. So, Alex, do we have any questions that we need to answer?
We don't have any questions right now. We actually are having a little bit of a issue with YouTube being their comments are offline. So, and you do have to, when you're in Facebook, you do have to enable the comments. It will actually prompt you to enable. Facebook does have a little system where they like to keep everybody's personal privacy under tight control. So you do have to ask to enable it. So right now, we don't have any comments, but we do encourage you to like and subscribe and share the recipe with your friends. We do have several viewers online because we can see that from our system here. But right now, it looks like it's a pretty simple recipe. It really is paint by the numbers. If you follow along, it's quick and easy and looks great.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. Is that the final recipe? Are we all good to go for the day?
I'm not hearing you.
Okay. Is that, is the recipe done? Is there anything else to do?
It's all done.
All done. Okay.
All
well,
done.
guys, thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, wait a minute. I think I might have one comment. Let me double check. Oh, there we go. I'm going to put that online. This sandwich looks delicious. It does.
Is delicious.
It does. It really is good. And it didn't take that long. I mean, we're 20 minutes in the stream and we really didn't start until about 3 or 4 minutes in. So it was pretty quick. It looks like it'll feed several people too. So fun holiday recipe. Okay. Rebecca, when will we be doing this again? When's our next show?
Well, we'll probably try for next Monday.
Next Monday. Next Monday at 2 o'clock.
Try Monday at 2.
Okay, and we'll post a link on the Facebook page as well as the
Yeah.
YouTube channel, which we're about evenly split between our Facebook and YouTube viewers. I'm seeing online here, so that's great because the YouTube channel is brand new. So it's so good we have viewers there. But we'll be back on it too, and we'll be posting a link as to next week's recipe here in a few days, and then send out reminders as well to let everybody know to watch the next show. So like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you are in YouTube to be notified of the next show coming up as well. And with that, have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you on next Monday at 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.